Hello everyone and welcome to the biology lecture series, and today we'll be discussing the topic control and coordination. So this lecture is the continuation of the previous lecture. So in the previous lecture we have studied about the definition of the coordination, how can we define the coordination, then we studied about the coordination between various organ systems. All right, then we studied about the coordination in the plants first. Okay, so there we studied about the movement in the plants. So plants, they cannot move, they are static, but parts of the plant can move. So we studied about the stimulus also. So there are two kinds of stimulus, external as well as the internal stimulus. Clear? Then we also talk about the coordination in the animals, and we studied about the various endocrine glands and their functions. Okay, so in the previous lecture we were studying about the endocrine system and the organs that are involved in the in this. So we were studying about the endocrine glands. Clear? So in this lecture what we are going to study? So in this lecture we'll study about the nervous coordination in the animals. Clear? So let's start with this lecture. Now in animals, if we talk about the animals, I've already told you in the previous lectures, two kinds of coordination occurs, or you can say coordination occurs at two levels. Okay, or you can say coordination, it comprises of two things. First is the nervous system, another one is through the chemicals. And what kind of chemicals? Hormones. Okay, and hormones, now you know, these are synthesized by the endocrine gland. These are synthesized by the endocrine glands. And what are endocrine glands? The glands that directly secrete their secretions into the blood. They don't have any ducts. They are also known as the ductless gland. So coordination in animals, so it can be at two levels. First is the nervous system, which consists of the nerve cells, and then second one is the chemicals. Okay, which kind of chemical? Hormones, which are released by the endocrine gland. So we can say nervous system as well as the endocrine system, they are involved in the coordination in the animals. Now if we talk about the nervous coordination, the nervous coordination is brought about by the nervous system, and the chemical coordination, it is by the hormones. Now both the system, they work in an integrated manner. So there is a both the system, nervous as well as the, you can say, the endocrine system, they work in an integrated manner. Clear? Now in fact such a control and coordination, it requires what? First of all, it requires the gathering of the information about the changes in the external environment. So you can say it is a kind of stimulus only. So if there is any change in the environment, suppose a simple example you can take, if there is a change in the temperature, okay, then also it will show some response in the body. So first step is the gathering of the information about the changes in the environment or the fluctuation in the environment, and accordingly the body has to adapt. Okay, if it doesn't adapt, then what will happen? The survival of the organisms will be in danger. So to survive, the body has to adapt to the external environment. So first step will be the gathering of the information about the changes in the external environment. Okay, example you can say change in the temperature. Okay, clear? All right, or you can say there is a touch stimulus. Touch is a kind of also a stimulus, which is known as thigmotropism. So movement towards, okay, the touch or away from the touch, this is known as the thigmotropism. Clear? Change in temperature can also be a stimulus. Clear? Now, next step is the transmitting this information to the internal cells located away from the body surface. So the body surface, it will receive the stimulus. Okay, so there are some receptors present in the body. You can say receptors, or there are some sensors. So these are present on the body surface. So body surface, it receives the stimulus. Okay. It will receive the stimulus. Okay. And this stimulus is then transmitted to the internal cells. Clear? Through, you can say, neurons. Okay. Now, exchange of information. Next step is the exchange of information between the cell situated away from each other. Clear? Now the information has been transferred from the body surface to the internal cells. Now there should be a response will be generated. Okay, now, and this response has to be transferred between cells. Okay, and these cells can be situated away from the region from where the signal or the information is originating. Clear? So at one place the information will be collected at okay, and then a response will be generated, and this response is then transmitted to the cells. Okay, which can be situated away from the region from where the response is being generated. Clear? Now let's understand this from this image. So here you can see a response is being generated in response to the hot object. So this hot object, this is a kind of external stimulus. Okay, this is what? This is an external stimulus. Okay, so here you can see this is the spinal cord. Okay, so if you talk about the central nervous system, okay, this is what? This is central nervous system. This comprises of what? This comprises of the brain as well as the spinal cord. Okay, this is clear. Now you can see here the external stimulus is being sensed by the receptors present in the hand or the finger. Okay, here you can see pain receptors are present in the skin or on the body surface, you can say. Then what happens? These stimulus is carried to the, you can say, spinal cord here, which is the part of the central nervous system, and you can see direction of the impulse. So here you can see here, then here, and the information is you can say the stimulus is transferred to the spinal cord. Okay, and you can see afferent neuron here. So this afferent neuron, this is carrying the information from the receptor towards the spinal cord. Okay, so what is afferent? Okay, one is afferent neuron, another one is efferent neuron, and then we also have the interneuron also. Okay, so here interneuron is present. So what is afferent neuron? So this afferent neuron, you can see it carries the information from the receptors in the skin, okay, or on the body surface, you can say, or you can write receptors or sensors on the body surface or beneath the body surface, whatever. All right, so from here the stimulus is transferred to the central nervous system, or you can say spinal cord here. So this is the role of the afferent neuron. Then you can say efferent neuron here. So efferent neuron, it transfers the motor information, okay, to the sensory organ. Clear? Here you can see the efferent neuron. It is the, now what happens, the information or the response has been generated in the central nervous system. Okay, and here you can see the arrows. All right, and the information is being transferred to the muscle cells here or muscle tissue, and then the muscle will contract. So another one is the efferent. This efferent neuron. Okay, so here what is happening, the motor information means the response. Okay, so efferent neuron is also known as the motor neuron. So motor information is transferred from, you can say, the central nervous system, or you can say the spinal cord here, toward to the target organ, you can say. Okay, so this is efferent neuron. Then between this afferent and efferent neuron, there is one more neuron known as the interneuron, which is present in the spinal cord. Here you can see interneuron is present here. So this connects this afferent neuron and the efferent neuron. Clear? This is clear. So this is how the response is being generated. First is the gathering of the information. Okay, gathering of the information about the change in the environment. Then what happens? Here you can see the sensors are present in the finger. And what happens? The information is transferred, or the stimulus is transferred from the afferent neuron to the spinal cord. And here you can see the response is being generated. Okay, in the spinal cord, the response is being generated. And this motor information is then transferred back to the target organ by the efferent neuron. Clear? Here you can see axon of neuron, dendrite of neuron. Okay, I'll tell about this also. So neuron, these are the functional and the structural unit of the nervous system. Okay, and if you study about the structure of the neuron, it consists of the dendrite, axon, cell body. All right, I'll show you the structure of the neuron in the upcoming slides. Okay, this is clear. Okay, so whenever now the information has reached the target organ, then the person will remove its finger away from this hot object. Clear? So efferent neuron, I've already told you, it is also known as the motor neuron. And afferent neuron, it is also known as the sensory neuron. Clear? Because it is sensing. Here, it is transmitting the response. That's why known as the motor. So the motor information is being transferred from the spinal cord to the target organ. And then you retract your hand from the hot object, or you show any response to the stimulus. Clear? Now let's talk about the nervous system in the animals. Now, except sponges, all multicellular animals, they possess simple or the complex nervous system. Now, in all these animals, nervous system is composed of specialized cells called the neurons. So neurons, they are also known as the nerve cells. Okay, so these nerve cells, okay, they are there to respond to the stimuli. So we have already discussed in the previous slide how the response is being generated, okay, in towards the stimulus, or okay. So so these nerve cells help in responding to the stimulus and coordinate animal activities. Now, what are nerve cells or neurons? These are the structural and the functional unit of the nervous system. Clear? Now, this is an image showing you the structure of the neuron. So this is what? This is a neuron, also known as the nerve cell. Clear? So you can see dendrites are present here. Okay. Here you can see cell body. So you have to just remember the main parts here that I am labeling. This is the nucleus. So this is the cell body. So nerve cells look like this. Okay. These are the Schwann cells. Then this is the axon. Okay. And these axons, they are covered by a myelin sheath. Clear? Then you have the nodes of Renvier here. And then you have the axon terminal and the synaptic knob is present here. Okay. This is clear. So these neurons, they are connected to each other. Okay, so one neuron will be connected to other neurons. So these synaptic knobs, they help in the transferring of the information also. And this knob is then connected to the dendrite of the adjacent neuron. Clear? So this is the structure of the neuron. You don't have to go in detail. You have to just remember all these parts. Here is the nucleus. So cell body looks like this. Okay, and it has these branches known as dendrites, which helps in the transmit of the information from one nerve cell to the another nerve cell. Okay, and this is the region synaptic knob. Okay, where the some chemicals are released. Okay, and there is a lot of activities going on here, and the information is transmitted from one nerve cell to the another nerve cells. Clear? So this is the structure and the function unit of the nervous system. So in the image that I have shown you earlier, you can see it was written axon of the afferent neuron or axon of the efferent neuron. Then cell body of the efferent or the afferent neuron. It was written like this. So now you can understand. Now let's talk about the nervous system of the hydra. So hydra, it is a simple organism. Okay. And it reproduces asexually by bud formation. So let's talk about the nervous system in the hydra. So it has a very simple nervous system, okay, which is known as the nerve net. So the hydra, you know, it belongs to the phylum Cnidaria, which consists of the coelenterate, and they are the group of the invertebrates. Okay, means they lack the vertebral column as well as the skeleton. Now, the nervous system in hydra is merely a network of the nerve cells. Okay, so it is quite simple, which are joined to one another and spread throughout the body between the two germ layers. So there are two germs layer present. Outer one is known as the epidermis and the inner one is known as the gastrodermis. So this network of nerve cells is known as the nerve net. Okay, and it is joined to and the nerve cells, they are joined to one another in this nerve net and they are spread throughout the body between the two germ layers known as epidermis and the gastrodermis. Clear? So it's quite simple. Now, how this nervous system works, okay, or how the hydra shows response. Now, when the body of the hydra, it receives a certain stimulus at a particular region from the environment. So, whenever the hydra receives an external stimulus, then what happens? The nerve cells present at the region, okay, so where this region will receive the stimulus. So, nerve cells will be present in this region. So, nerve cells which are present in this region, it sends impulses in all the directions throughout the network of the nerve cell spread throughout the body. So we have already discussed in the previous slide, hydra consists of the nerve net. So nerve cells are spread throughout the body. So a region which receives the external stimulus, it generates some impulses. And these impulses, they are sent they are spread throughout the body. Okay, through the network of the nerve cells. Now, in this way, the nerve network coordinates responses to different stimuli in hydra without the existence of the central control region known as the brain. So in hydra organisms, brain is present and brain is doing all the functions. Clear? It is a part of the central nervous system. Okay. So in hydra organism, what happens? Central nervous system is present, peripheral nervous system is present, as well as the autonomous nervous system is present. Clear? So in Hydra, you can see the nervous system is quite simple. So what is happening here? External stimulus. Okay, first step is the gathering of the information from the external environment. So external stimulus is sensed by, okay, a certain region present on the, you can say, body surface. Then this external stimulus, okay, then what happens? The impulses are being generated. Okay, this external stimulus is, you can say, received by the nerve cells present on the body surface. So here you can write nerve cells are present. Then these nerve cells will generate impulses. And these impulses are then transferred throughout the body. And the response is generated throughout the body. And then what will be generated? The response will be generated. Clear? So a response is being generated without the need of the brain. Clear? Now this is an image showing you the nervous system of the Hydra. So it is quite simple, you can say. This is the nervous system of the Hydra. Now what is happening? You can see here the nerve net. Okay, the entire body consists of the nerve cells that are joined to each other and they form the nerve net. You can also call it as nerve ganglia. So ganglia are nothing but they are the cluster of the nerve cells. Clear? So this is how information is being transferred throughout the body. Clear? Now let's talk about the nervous system in higher organisms. So grasshopper is an insect and it belongs to the phylum Arthropoda. So let's study about the nervous system in the grasshopper now. Now, if we talk about the grasshopper, you can say insects in general. So these grasshopper, they belong to the phylum Arthropoda. So when we were talking about the excretory system also, then we also talked that from the Arthropoda, the specialized kind of organs were started developing. Okay, so respiratory organs also start developing in Arthropoda, excretory system also start developing, and you can see nervous system, okay, is also quite developed in insects. Clear? So we were talking about the respiratory system here. It is known as the tracheal system. We have studied about the tracheal system in the grasshopper when we were studying the respiratory. And here Malpighian bodies are also present. Malpighian body, they are part of the excretory system. Okay. So grasshopper, or you can say insects, you can say they are quite complex organisms and they have different organs or different structures that carry out respiratory function, excretory function, as well as the nervous functions. Now, in insects, if we talk about the nervous system consists of, you can see brain, ganglia. Okay, singular is ganglion and it consists of the nerve cord. All right, so there is a nerve cord here. Okay, and this nerve cord, okay, on this nerve cord, ganglia are present. Now, what is a ganglion first? Let's understand. It is the mass of the nerve cells. So nerve cells, they cluster together and they form the ganglia. Okay, now it has a nerve cord also, and this nerve cord runs along the entire length of the body. Okay, so this is the nerve cord. This is the nerve cord that runs throughout the body. and here in between these ganglia are present. Okay, so at interval ganglia are present, which are nothing but they are the mass of the nerve cells. Then if you go up here, here the brain will be present. All right, you have the brain, you have the nerve cord, and you have the ganglia. Okay, so a mass of nerve cell is known as the ganglia. The nerve cord runs along the entire length of the body, and at intervals of the nerve cord you have the ganglia. Clear? Now ganglia here is of three types. Okay, we'll talk about this. Now the small nerves are given out from each ganglia. Okay, and so we were talking about the ganglia. So small nerves, they arise from the ganglia. Now near the anterior end of the insect body, a large bilobed ganglion called the brain is present. So what is brain? Okay, it is present near the anterior end of the insect body, means toward the head. Okay, and what is brain? It is a large bilobed ganglia. This is known as the brain in the grasshopper. Now, so what does the nervous system of the grasshopper consist of? It consists of the brain, a long nerve cord that runs throughout the body. All right, then it consists of the ganglia, and the ganglia give rise to the small nerves which are spreading from the nerve cord. And ganglia, they are of three types. If you talk about the insects or particularly grasshopper, then you have esophageal ganglia first. First is the esophageal ganglia, then you have the thoracic ganglia. Okay, and the last one are the abdominal ganglia. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. Three kinds of ganglia are present in the grasshopper. Clear? Now this is an image showing you the nervous system of the insects, you can say, or the grasshopper in particular. So we are talking about the grasshopper here. So you can write this is the nervous system of the grasshopper. Which is a typical grasshopper is a typical representation of the insects. Now here you can see this cerebral ganglia is present here, which is large bilobed ganglia. This is known as the brain. So this is the large bilobed. Bilobed means two lobes. Okay. Ganglia. This is known as the brain, also known as the cerebral ganglia. Here, then you can see this is the nerve cord. Okay, so nerve cord. All right, this runs throughout the body of the grasshopper, and you can see ganglia here. Okay, which are the what? These are the cluster of the nerve cells. Okay, and here nerves, they arise from the ganglia. I've already told you ganglia, they are of three types: abdominal ganglia, then thoracic ganglia, and then esophageal ganglia. Clear? So this is the structure of the nervous system of the grasshopper. Clear? So it is okay, a bit complex, but if you talk about the higher organisms such as humans, it is less complex than the higher organisms such as humans. Okay, and here nerve cells are also present. We have talked about nerve cells. Nerve cells are the structural and the functional unit of the nervous system. Clear? So in this lecture, we have talked about the nervous coordination in the animals. So first, we understood how the response is being generated, what are the criteria or what are the essential things which are required for the generation of the response. So first was the gathering of the information, okay, and then this information is transmitted inside the cells, and then a response is being generated, and then response is then transferred to the target organ. Okay. Now, we also studied about the nervous system in the hydra. So in the hydra, nervous system consists of the nerve cells that are joined together and it forms a nerve net. Clear? Then we also talk about the nervous system in the grasshopper. So grasshopper, we have seen the nervous system is consists of the brain. All right, it consists of the ganglia, nerve cord, as well as the nerves that are arising from the ganglia. Clear? So this was the structure of the grasshopper. Clear? Now, this was the end of this session. We'll discuss some of the objective type questions in the next lecture, which are related to these topics. Hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you very much for listening.